Hello, I'm Brandy Farrell, and we're excited that you've joined us in Mission Lasting Liberty this year. I wanted to take just a few moments to explain some of the extras that you can do within this program. Some things can be organized within a notebook, or if you prefer, you can use composition books. And so I'm going to take you through both those options and show you some different ways you might want to organize the extra materials. These are optional things that you can implement with your family. Of course, you do not have to do them. I want to take you through a 3-ring binder approach to organizing the materials. Here you can use 5 different tabs: Memory Work Reference, History Portfolio, States Atlas, Science Journal, and U.S. Constitution. If you also would like to put the Timeline Notebook in here, if you decide to do that, you'll need a 6th tab. We normally recommend that the Timeline Notebook go in a different notebook though, because you'll use it with other programs. Let's go through what is included. For memory work reference, the memory work we have for Mission Lasting Liberty is scripture, poetry, hymns, and geography. On the Mission Lasting Liberty supplemental webpage, referenced on page 4 of your teacher's guide, we have these documents that you can download. Okay, so this is a list of the scriptures that we've memorized. I put it in here for quick reference. I've got a copy of each of the hymns that we're going to be doing, and then I have the poetry that we're going to be memorizing, or at least portions of the poetry that we're going to be memorizing. Copies of the maps that are included in the appendix of the Mission Lasting Liberty Teacher's Guide. If you would like to, there are 2 different things that you can include for elementary school age children, and that would be the History Portfolio and the Homemade States Atlas. Okay, and so for the History Portfolio, all you'd need is blank sheets of paper. Using the Draw Right Now book, there are instructions. You have prompts in your Mission Lasting Liberty Teacher's Guide that tell you when to draw something. And so essentially you take that and you draw it, and then you have a caption or a written narration that you can put with it. And I just pulled a copy from our 6th grader sketchbook, and that's what that looks like. Okay, also in this section you could put the reproducibles for Mission Lasting Liberty. So there are several different resources that are in the appendix of the teacher's guide that we also provide a convenient PDF on our supplemental resources page so that you can download that and print extra copies for your children. And so then the next section is the States Atlas. Okay, and so as we're going through our history readings and our read alouds, we'll also be doing some geography, and we'll be pulling information from the desk atlas. And some students may want to trace out of the desk atlas, and some would probably prefer not to trace. So this just depends on the age of your children. And so if you have a child that's up to like maybe 5th grade, you'll probably want to print out the Homemade States Atlas. I've got an outline map packet on the supplemental resource webpage that you can print out. And as you're going through Mission Lasting Liberty, there will be prompts in the guide that tell you, for example, add Cape Cod Bay and Cape Cod to your Massachusetts map. And that would be whenever you read about that, about the Mayflower landing over on Cape Cod. And then so you can keep up with that for your students, or you can have them trace. And so that's what our 6th grader did. And he traced, let me get the right, he traced this map here, and then he labels it. What we've got here is a tracing paper and a sheet of regular paper behind it, and it's in a page protector. And so every time that he comes back, we have something else to add to that map. We'll just pull this back out and he'll add to that map. Okay, then we have a science journal section, and so with the science journal, this is where you can put some blank paper, and then this is specifically for middle school students. And so the Science Journal and the U.S. Constitution Study are both intended for middle school. I wouldn't necessarily incorporate this for any younger than 6th grade. In the guide, under the middle school section, it'll tell you to define certain terms and sketch out certain things that are in the human body book. And so this is just an area where you can just put some paper and you can add those things as you go through the year. Also, what you'll probably want to do is print out the human body worksheets, lab sheets, and quizzes from the link that is at the Supplemental Resources webpage. Those are printables. These right here are printables from Answers in Genesis, and the link there is there for your convenience. Okay. The next section is a U.S. Constitution study. This also is specifically for middle school. And so if you put some blank notebook pages there, they can just start taking some notes of different things that they read about within our Constitution Rocks book. Okay, and then last but not least is the timeline notebook. We have some free versions on our website. We also have one that we released that's specifically with American history timeline figures that you can use if you'd like to. That's available in our shop. And so we actually recommend keeping your timeline notebook separate because it's something that you would want to have for all of your history studies every year, and so you'd want to continue adding to that. I think that takes care of the notebook version. So this is another way that you can organize your materials. My method is laminating things and sticking them inside my guide. That's not a very organized method, but it works for me. And so I laminate the maps and I just put the ones that I need for that particular week. I slide them in to my Lasting Liberty guide so that it's readily available. Okay. The next thing is the history portfolio, which this is what my 6th grader, actually everybody in our family has one of these. And so that's exactly what they use, is just a sketchbook. And so you see some of the things that he's put in here. Okay. Next we have the States Atlas. And so this is available as a PDF on our Mission Lasting Liberty supplemental webpage. And this is what we're adding to for our youngest child, who is 1st grade. Our 6th grader traces using Crayola 8.5 by 11 tracing paper, and then inserts that in page protectors with a regular piece of computer paper behind it. Those are traced from the desk atlas. Then for our science journal, our 6th grader uses a dot grid notebook because it is full of pages that have a dot grid. It makes it easier for him to sketch out things, and it gives him guidelines for writing in his definitions. And so there's just an example of the pages there. And as the year goes on, there'll be more sketches and less writing. Okay, for the Constitution study, we've just got a regular, that's actually Mom's commonplace. And so this is just my example because I don't have our 6th grader working on this right now. I just wanted to write one in as an example. And so you can just use a regular composition book, and actually any of these ideas you could just use a regular composition book. And so these are just some notes that are written based on our Constitution Rocks pages. Don't recommend doing that until they're in 6th grade. If you decide to incorporate a timeline notebook, we do have one available in our shop. It's available in both landscape format like this one and portrait format in case you would like to make copies and put inside of a regular 3-ring binder. And so this is just a place for you to track different events through time, and it helps to see the relationship between different events. We also put together some American history timeline figures, and so those are available. It's just another thing that you can incorporate if you choose to do so. So that summarizes a couple of different ways that you can organize your materials. If you have any questions at all, be sure to contact us at support@halfahundredacrewood.com.